live at a fortunate time where it seems like almost daily something new is coming out for our niche hobby. The endless stream of mods, cars and tracks and add-ons, official DLC, and sometimes totally new simulators. Making videos and reviews of all these wonderful things, I, like many of you, am always focused on what's new. And of course, I've got my favorites and my trusty go-tos. But sometimes it's hard to remember each and every one of those great things that I've taken a look at. So I want to change that, and specifically went looking today for something I really enjoyed and always have meant to come back to. And because I fancy a bit of exciting racing, welcome back to Italo Track's fantastic Napoli. And on the grid, an assorted mix of fictional but appropriate opponents. And for myself, the timeless Alfa GTA. Something to get the blood pumping, and a great way to spend an evening. Alright, so here we are on the grid, and expecting quite a slow start from this one. Lights are lit. Out, we're underway, and there we go, the classic Assetto Corsa bogged down, but we'll let everybody sort it out. And away we go for 6 laps at Napoli as the two behind me almost make contact with each other. Giulietta in front wagging, so we'll easily get past him. And come down to the first corner. If you somehow missed my first video on this track, you're in for a treat, because this is one of these epic, great circuits that you don't really hear about. The greatest stuff that you can do in sim racing. But we'll come into the first corner, and this track is always turning. We're going to wind our way downhill first here. Very, very late apex. We'll get on the throttle. Maybe 1 second gear through there next time through. Behind a 300 SL, one of the few non-Italian cars in the race. All right, come down to second gear at the bottom of the hill. Quite tight right-hander. Get on the throttle here. Wander our way past the sea. It's a very picturesque track. It's a track that was used in the early 20th century, 1900s, up until the 50s. Even after the war, they came back and raced here, but it was mostly Grand Prix style cars. And to my knowledge, not too many GT type cars, and these are all much too new of a model to have raced here, but it's a great combo. So come in through these tight hairpins, really late one here on the left. We'll try to squeeze that 300 SL and see if I can get around them the long way. Got a bunch of Alfa GTAs in here with me, a few Giulias up front. Mercedes comes barging his way back through. There you go. You got a big car, you might as well use it. All right, come down to second gear. It's a late apex to the right here, and this gets into, I think, the coolest part of the track. So we'll try to carry a little bit of speed, but it's gonna be tough to find my way around that Mercedes through here. We'll just hold our breath, come up, and want to play chicken with the walls to the right, and then to the left here. So they're all gonna slam on their brakes. You can almost do that one flat to the left. Now come through this long left-hander. Right past these security guards to the right, dip it back in, and up to the top of the hill. Get it down to second on the opening lap here. Roll it on through, and now we're going to descend sharply towards the finish, but a few tricky ones before then. Left-hander there is a little slow through it. Second one to the left here is much faster, or much tighter rather. Slower, the exact opposite. But there we come into the final corner. To the right, second gear. I'm going to slide it through just a little bit, get a wheel hop. You can pick up the front wheels on the inside of corners in the GTA, and there goes that Mercedes streaming away, but we might be able to get him through the corners. P12 with 5 laps to go. Let's see how far I can get up the grid. I got a few pretty quick cars at the front, so it might be impossible to actually win this, but hopefully get around the drivers in the same car I have. Coming to the first corners. Second gear. Ooh, it's a tight squeeze. Just knock fenders there a little bit. Hand gestures out the window, I'm sure. Squeeze my way by. Rev it all the way out. Down the hill, second gear. You can slide it into this corner. Hopefully I get a couple laps here where I don't have cars directly in front of me, just to show you how incredible this circuit is to do laps around. It's one of these circuits that you can just do laps at, and it's entertaining even being alone. Throw a few more cars on it, and it's a lot of fun as well. But we'll come into the city part of the course here, dive up the inside, second gear. Always hangs it out there, fender to fender. Love to see that when the AI actually challenge you for a position. It's going to keep it on the inside, get it back to second gear, squeeze them out. A little more contact, it's all fair. Rushing through the streets, there he is behind me now. All right, back in behind the 300 SL. I have a feeling I'm going to be following him all the way to the finish because that car is quite a lot quicker than the GTA here. This is the regular GTA Alfa that comes with Assetto Corsa. It's one of the standard cars. So we'll come back into my favorite section of the course here. A lot faster this time. Keep it nice and tidy to the walls. A little bit of lift the throttle there. Oh, it's such a rush. Revving it out in second gear. Just want to maximize the run onto the back section of the course and see if I can somehow slip around this Mercedes as he's working on the Giulia in front of him. Come to the final couple corners, down to third gear. Ooh, I'm going to slide the rear end a bit fast on the entry, but it might actually put me into an overtake here on the right side of him, down to second. Come to the final corner, avoid the curbing. Whoa, wheel up in the air, there we go. He's going to have the speed on me down the straight. Oh, there he goes. That's the great thing about sports car racing. Different cars are faster in different places. That's a heavy car, slower through the corners than this little GTA here is. Oh, the Giulia in front. Be careful, you two. That is a really precarious place to go side by side as the Mercedes is going to spin out, and the Giulia as well. Two for the price of one there, I guess. I saw that was an accident waiting to happen, but that takes care of the Mercedes and that Giulia for me. Up behind a Porsche 912 now. Really enjoying this. I thought about wanting to do some sort of Assetto Corsa something because I love this sim. And my go-to, like so many, is to look at what's new, what's come out recently that I haven't tried yet. And I think there's a lot of fun in that. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's important to remember all the great stuff that you've already tried before. And this is a combo I hadn't really tried before, but of course, these cars I've featured in quite a few videos and I've raced endless times myself. But this track I had only really done around the time it came out. I did a lot of racing on it then, mostly in those pre-war or interwar Grand Prix cars, which are absolute madness around here. A lot trickier to drive than this, but still equally fun in their own way. But this is a great track for this. I think it would also be great for some lighter formula cars like F2, F3 type cars. Oh, we got a nice run there on this Porsche. It's the 912, one of my favorite modded cars, but I felt like it was a little more appropriate to drive an Italian car through these amazing streets. At the top of the hill here. Nice little run on him. This is a tricky place to pass. I did almost get around, or I did kind of get around the Mercedes through the end of the lap, but I'm not sure how fast that Porsche is. There's the Mercedes behind me. No way. Old Hans there is quite quick today. So slide it up the inside, make a little contact. Whoa. A forceful overtake. But we need to get away from that Mercedes coming up behind me. This is that, instead, the standard, the stock Alfa GTA that comes with Assetto Corsa, and I have so many miles in this car because it's such a great car. One of my favorites to lap around the Targa Florio, actually. Not far away from my fingertips whenever a new track comes out, especially something that's a little more tight and twisty. It's such a fun car to slide around. It might be a little forgiving compared to real life, but it's so much fun. I don't dislike that in the least. So we'll run really wide there. Terrible line through the first couple corners. Just staring at that Porsche in my mirror. Get it down to second gear here. Slide it in. Whoa, don't want to clip that curb on the inside. The car in front gets it all wrong as well. I have a little bit of a run on him here. One of these tracks that I feel like you could do 100 laps around here, and you might find new lines every single lap. Second gear there, made a slight bit of contact to the left again with the Alfa. I should have just enough to get in front of him before this long left-hander. Brake as late as I can, carry the speed through. I think he's right to the left of me. All right, rocket on out and up the hill. There he is in the mirror. 3 more GTAs directly in front, and then quite the gap, which I think some of the Giulias have run away from us. We'll come out though onto the straight side by side. I really want to finish this before we come up to the city section of the course. A little bit of sideways stuff. He pushes me out of the way. Best to give that position because this is a tricky place to pass, but maybe up the inside there, no. Come to the top of the hill, bouncing all over the place. In my original video for this, I talked a lot about the surface, and I still think that's one of the more unique parts about this track is we're side by side. I'll run a bit far. Those trees are all collidable and everything, so you gotta be really careful or else you'll end your race early. The surface on this track, you see the car bouncing around so much. It is such a detailed surface, but not in a way where there's a bunch of sharp type of rocks and things that sometimes you get on some of the other courses. Come by the pits. I think just a couple laps ago, up to P6. I think a top 5 is easily doable here if I put a good few corners together. But it's a nice and detailed surface, which is so necessary in some of these older tracks. You see, especially in the older sims, like Grand Prix Legends and things, it just wasn't possible to have such detailed surfaces on courses, but that really makes these tracks. This track would be a completely different thing if it was smooth. But having all these ruts and bumps, as you know, with a street track, that's half the battle. So come to the bottom of the hill, down to second gear, slide it on in. Love that. Pick up the throttle nice and early. I do have a bit of speed against the other cars through here, but nowhere to go with the run. On the throttle, late apex through this left-hander. It seems like every corner, the apex is just always further than you want it to be. To the inside here, slam it on the brakes, down to second gear. Just kiss side to side. Right, carry some speed out, got a nice run. Whoa, but it's a wide sweep. Actually kicked the rear end out a little bit there. It's a beautiful yellow car. I love all the liveries. I think anything on this car looks nice. There's a great version of this car, the kind of souped up GTA M version from Pesio, which is also a fun car, but I do tend to prefer, as I hop the curb there. Whoa. Close call. Would blow a tire in real life, I think. Just trying to thread it through the walls here. Oh, gas it up the inside. I was thinking I could make a move there, but side by side as we'll head up the streets. There we go. I do tend to prefer this less horsepower version, a little bit more raw of an experience, and it's a car I remember really enjoying back in GT Legends and Power and Glory and things, and I cannot recommend it enough if I haven't made that clear. All right, come in through the final corner. We're gonna start the final lap here. At least gotta get around this car in front to get up into that third position, fighting for the podium. I see 2 Giulias way up the road. That's another nice car. It's another mod that came out not too long ago, but it's quite a good amount faster than the GTA here. All right, come down into the first corner. Bit of a run there, down to second. Just really wear out the tires and suspension and things. Short race, you don't need to preserve the car at all. So we'll get the rear nice and light coming into the bottom of the hill, closed up right behind the car in front. This car almost matches the sea in the distance. Always playing chicken with the curbs on either side of the track. You saw what happened last lap when I hit one. Car gets all kinds of upset. I'm down to second gear here. Really want to get in front of this car before that tight section of the course. I hit the rev limiter. Luckily we got one of those installed. Lock up the brakes. He watched out for me though. He's gonna do the over-under up the inside. There we go. Able to get that right-hander in front of him. Now put a few good corners together and try to get away. Down to second gear here. Just want to miss the first turn in, or what looks like it, and get that second one. We're gonna to get all the way out to the curb to check up on the throttle just to avoid it. Now, put the pedal to the metal through here this time. Third gear, just avoid that inside wall. Little lift, security lift, throw it in. Oh my God. Just scrape the wall there. Come around the top of the hill though. So our Alfa is going to be a little worse for wear around Napoli. But this is such a good track, and I'm so happy I've spent this evening coming back to it. I recommend, or I guess my takeaway from this is scroll through, pick the sim of your choice, but scroll through your library and see what you haven't raced in a while, because undoubtedly there are some gems in there, and a lot of fun to be had, even if it's not the shiniest of new.